the night of July 8, 1947, events surrounding the crash and recovery of a U.S. military high-altitude balloon in Roswell, New Mexico, led to the ongoing conspiracy of the involvement of extraterrestrials and governmental lies. This later would be known as the Roswell Incident. As we uncover this conspiracy, it's important to understand the facts of this case. It all started on a normal day in early July 1947 on a ranch in Lincoln County, New Mexico. A rancher, Mac Brazel, woke up and went to work, just like any other day, except today, he would make an interesting discovery. Brazel had stated he had found on his ranch a large area of bright wreckage made up of rubber strips, tinfoil, a rather tough paper, and sticks. Throughout this time, the idea of UFOs and flying saucers was still not well known, but would see an explosion of popularity. By July 7th, Brazel had accumulated a box of various debris found in the crash site and delivered it to the Roswell Sheriff George Wilcox. An intrigued Wilcox would then contact Colonel William Blanchard, the commanding officer of the Roswell Army Airfield, or RAF for short. RAF would then send agents to investigate the crash site, and on July 8th, for many, the truth was finally revealed. On this day, Walter Haut, the RAF's public information officer, issued a press release stating this: "The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence office of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force Roswell Army Airfield was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc through the cooperation of one of the local ranchers and the sheriff's office of Chavez County." But just as quickly as the press began to publish this event and excitement grew, the U.S. Army would debunk this story. Officials claimed the very next day, on July 9th, that the debris were actually from a crashed weather balloon. Soon after, the incident faded from the headlines, but the conspiracy had only just begun. Now we are joined by Sean Turner, a witness of the crash site and friend of Mac's. Sean was one of the first people Mac told about the crash before turning to the media. We'll start off with some easy questions. Sean, did you witness the crash itself?
I did not.
Well, you did inspect the crash site, yes?
Yes, I did.
So, how were you able to view the crash site?
I was actually a good friend of Max, and I owned a ranch just right down the road. So he called me down from something about a mysterious UFO crash on his ranch. So I decided that I should come down and take a look.
Now, can you tell us what you saw?
Well, just like Mac had told the Roswell Daily Record all those years back, it was weird. It looked like a bunch of metallic sticks and a material of some sort that looked like tinfoil. I don't know, it was just anything but normal.
What do you think it was?
I've had years to think about this, and I don't believe it was just some military-grade weather balloon. It can't be. Many people have said I'm crazy, but I think it was a UFO.
Sean, if you truly do believe this, why do you think the government would cover up this story and hide it?
The government has been hiding things for us for centuries. Aliens, UFOs, flying saucers isn't anything new. The government most definitely has been in contact with aliens. Now, why would they hide this information from us? I couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is that there's a lot more that we don't know.
What evidence helps prove the UFO theories of the Roswell incident?
Well, all evidence in favor of the UFOs leads to a rancher finding debris in a sheep pasture outside Roswell, New Mexico in the summer of 1947. Mac Brazel, my friend and the owner of the ranch, found something unusual in his sheep pasture. He found a mess of metallic sticks along with chunks of plastic and foil reflectors. When I took a look at this, Max spread out all the little pieces of evidence for me, and even I was shocked. Nothing I had ever seen before. Even with the Air Force stating the crash was a fallen weather balloon, I still believe that the debris must have come from an alien spaceship.
What's said, not just Sean, but multiple eyewitnesses of the crash site fully believe that the crash wasn't any weather balloon. It was a UFO or flying saucer. If a new report from the Air Force announced in a press release saying there was a UFO recovered, why switch the story? Is there something to hide? With these unanswered questions, we took a deeper dive and found a UFO researcher named Kyle Walker, who specializes in cases like these. He has been studying the Roswell case for many years now. Alright, let's get started. So, as we know, you've been studying this certain UFO case for many years. Why is that?
Well, I was intrigued by the story all those years ago. At the time, I was just graduating college and I was already writing my own blog reports and theories about UFO crashes. This one startled me. I happened to be in class when one of my colleagues heard about the report of a crash in New Mexico. I took it upon myself to study the certain report and take a closer look.
You happen to go to school in New Mexico, right?
Yes, I actually lived in New Mexico and then attended New Mexico State University. It was definitely a coincidence.
So when you first heard about the case, what was the first thing you did to take a closer look at it?
Well, the newspaper had come in from the Roswell Daily Record, and obviously I had read it. I asked my colleagues about it the next day, and they all thought it was quite interesting. A random crash at a ranch in New Mexico, it seems pretty real, especially if the local Air Force or the RAAF reported it in the local press.
Okay, and as time went on, you had obviously seen that the U.S. Air Force had changed their story. What do you think about this?
My first reaction was that this makes sense, but as a few days went on, I started to realize that this is definitely a cover-up. All these reports of the UFO crash and eyewitness testimonies to prove it is a flying saucer or alien spaceship. The government obviously had discovered something very serious and super intelligent that they didn't want the world to ever find out or discover. Like Mac had said, he's seen metallic-like things that he has never seen before in his lifetime, and that says something. For many people, it was the same report. Another rancher, Sean Turner, friends of Mac's, also said the same thing when he was invited to be the first eyewitness other than Mac himself. For this reason, something about this whole cover-up is still a great mystery to this day.
We've heard a lot of good points here today, but as I always say, we can't jump to conclusion. As always, this very well could have been another huge coincidence. Maybe there was a mistake and this truly is a military-grade weather balloon. A big misunderstanding. But that, I can't say for sure. Thank you for listening. This has been your host, Dominic Rusu, signing off.